Hey guys, this is Unique.Builder. Haven't really been on lately just because I've been really busy with work and everything. But I have been able to squeeze in some practice time going to tournaments with Altergeist, which is the profile that I have today. So, sorry it's been such a long time since my last update on a deck, but let's get right into this deck profile. So, the Altergeist count is actually pretty standard. You have 3 Miluseek, 2 Silkidus, 3 Multi-Fakers, and 3 Marionetters, and then finally the 1 Konkuri. That is pretty standard actually. Next is the hand traps. I only run 4. There's 2 Valor and 2 Droll. One thing that I've noticed is Droll actually doesn't hurt too many decks, so these might end up coming out, but I haven't figured out for what yet. But for now, it's pretty much all there is right now. So I'll try to work on what to take out for it. And then one thing that I run that I haven't really seen many people main deck is 3 Kaijus. 1 of each one. This is more specifically for like the Dino matchup. I can special Gamma Seal to the opponent, attributing their stuff, and then special summon the Dogoron to my side, and then it doesn't lose the attack off the field spell. At the same time, I played against Cosmos online, and turns out this deck has a bit of a problem with it. So now I can just tribute off the opponent's monster before they get a chance to do anything, and it just kind of hurts them because it gets rid of their monster, and also it's not destruction, so their big guy won't float into another one. So that was it for the monsters. Next is 2 Duality. This does not hurt the deck. I actually like playing on the opponent's turn. The only thing that this changes would be how you use your Kaijus, but logic says if you need a Kaiju drastically, you just hold off on the pot of duality and you're fine. Next is 2 Secret Village. Basically, I did try anti-spell, but with running duality and running another card that I have in here, I have too many spells for me to be comfortable with using anti-spell, since it slows my spells down too. And with Secret Village, all I need to do is control a spellcaster, which all the Altergeists are. So it actually doesn't cripple me at all, and it stops the opponent from using spells completely. So I just like it a little bit more than anti-spell. Next is the 1-ofs. I got 1 for 1, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, and finally 1 Upstart. From other people's lists that I've seen, this is usually the total number of spells that they run, about 4. I just like it because you have combos with 1 for 1 and Foolish, more so Foolish Burial than 1 for 1 itself, but it does help on occasions. The only thing is, it's not enough for me to want to keep it in, so this 1 for 1 might end up coming out. Interrupted Kaiju Slumber, it's basically just used as a dark hole, and then I can summon Kaiju, and then Upstart is just deck thinning basically. That was it for the spells. Next is the traps. I run 2 Protocol, 2 Manifestation, and then I run 3 personal spoofing. Originally I had 2 protocol and 3 manifestation, but then I saw these too often. Sometimes I didn't always have the target, at least a good target to summon back. So I ended up cutting it down to 2, and it hasn't hurt at all. Along with 3 spoofing, you basically need that card. Without spoofing, this deck is crumbling slowly. Next is 2 storming. This is when I kaiju the opponent, and then they answer my response to the summon of the kaiju. So if they end up keeping the kaiju and I have no board, or even if I have something small that I want to keep, I could set storming and then bounce back my own kaiju and then use it again next turn. That's pretty much my reason for storming over all the others. At one time I was running 1 quaking, but with link spam it doesn't do anything at all, so I don't like it. Next would be the solemn. So I run 2 solemn strike, 1 warning, and 1 judgment to round off the 40. I've ran into someone who says they don't run warning at all, they cite it, but for me, in my opinion, warning is actually very important, and it stops an effect that would summon. So if they have firewall on board, judgment can't hit firewall, but strike and warning can. That's why I kind of prefer these 3. So if I ever do cut one, it would probably end up being the judgment over warning and strike. But that is it for the main deck. Next will be the extra. So for the extra deck, I run 2 Hextias, except 2 Hextias. This should pretty much be self-explanatory. I've yet to need the 3rd, so I have no reason to throw it in. Even though I do have extra space, I just threw fillers in. I have 1 Link Karibo. Pretty self-explanatory. I will need to take out another card for a 2nd Link Karibo, which I already know what I want to do, but that's later. Nightmare Mermaid. This is basically for extra link. You just get out there extra link and you summon Mermaid. Oh, I'm sorry. Mermaid is not for, it's for when they do Ibli. Ibli with an extra link. Basically you summon this. Basically you can kaiju the opponent. You can break their extra link with a kaiju, and then you can also mermaid using Ibli. Next, Link Spider. This actually came up against a dinosaur matchup. So basically they summoned a dinosaur with the field spell. It would summon a token to my side, and then I can't target anything but the token. So I just Link Spider using the token, and then I could start targeting their stuff and bouncing it back and everything. So Link Spider was actually pretty useful. Proxy, I barely ever summon it. Kidolga, the same thing, I rarely ever summon it. I run 1 Akashic Magician. Basically, I can kaiju them, put it in a zone that I'm going to summon to, and then I can summon Akashic and bounce it back. 1 Cerberus and 1 Phoenix, but that is all. This deck is not a link spam by any means, so basically you're just summoning 1. So I have no reason to run the whole package if this deck can't go into it anyways. And then for the bigger links, I have one Decode, one Trisbana, one YuGiOh, and one Borload. And then one that's not a link is actually Mega Fleet, which I guess kind of tells you what's in my side somewhere. Alright, so that was the extra deck. Finally, we're going to move on to the side. We're going to do 2 Cyber Dragon. I actually have pretty good search power, so I have good deck thinning. I figured 2 would be fine. There was one game where I actually did open it against PK Fire in one of the tournaments that I topped recently. Basically, he summoned Dante overlay with Beatrice, and then he passed turn. So I opened Cyber Dragon that game, special summon, and as soon as he saw it, he detached and sent his Farfa, banished Cyber Dragon, and then he did that 3 turns in a row. But I still ended up 2-0ing him, so you don't need it, but it does help sometimes. Next is 3 Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave, it helps in a lot of situations, mainly hand traps. If they try to ash you, which I don't think they can ash your Marionetter, but they can ash all of your search effects when you hit Grave, which is kind of a problem. So usually once they do that, once they ash, you Called by the Grave and shut it down. At the same time, if they try to do Grave Recursion, you just Called by the Grave, target their target, and that's it. 2 Twin Twisters. I ended up facing off against a mirror match. I ended up citing, I think it was like 7 or 8 cards. I think it was 7 cards I cited. And I saw none of them. He ended up getting the game. That was my only loss in my last tournament against a mirror match, which is actually quite difficult. He's been playing the deck longer than I have. He just knew the deck more than I did. Next is 2 Anti-Spell. This is where they went. Basically, if I play against a spellcaster deck, I would slide these in place of the Secret Village, and then 3 Mind Crush. This is more of something that I'm testing. I want to see how it works. But generally the idea is every deck searches, or every deck recycles their resources back to the hand from the graveyard. So this is kind of what I'm testing. If they use Trick Stars, then they search Licorice. You can target the Licorice and get rid of it. Any other copies they have in their hand, if any. So it's just certain matchups, basically. And then this is for back row decks, Paleozoics, mirror match, whatever it is. There was one game, I think it was against one of those old school control decks, where I didn't end up citing these in. I just cited Twin Twisters, and it seemed to work out pretty well. I liked it. But last tournament, I ended up getting probably 5th place or so. But that was just X1. I was X1 and got 5th. It was a pretty weird tournament because the person who got 1st place was actually someone. It was someone that the person that I beat last round, he ended up beating, and then that person lost to the one that I beat. So it was a really weird mix up. So I don't know how it happened, but X1 I got 5th. And that's pretty much it. I'm gonna try to keep the videos a bit more consistent now. I don't really want to put another Fluffle deck profile out until the new support comes out, but it's been a year now, so I don't know if it's ever coming out. It's been a long time, and I'm still waiting. But that's it. You guys take care, and if this deck profile helps you out in any way, let me know in the comments. See you later.